Welcome to another podcast episode, everyone. Today, I've got a really exciting guest for you guys. And for those of you just joining, we're E.N.G Media, but I've got Alex with me, co founder and CEO of Intryc. Alex, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm excited to dive into all the stuff that you guys have been working on over the past couple of months here.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here. Let's get
Yeah,
to it.
absolutely, man. So anytime that I have somebody who went through Y Combinator on our podcast, I always love to cover their journey and kind of what that looked like. What was the why behind starting your company? And I know that you guys have achieved massive growth, especially early on here. And so, would you mind maybe sharing a little bit into your background, what that experience was like in Y Combinator, and really what's led you to the point that you're at today?
Yeah, definitely. It's been a crazy journey, and we're still getting started. We think that we're pretty early. Appreciate your kind words, but we know we're near where we want to end up or where we want to be. We started the company about a year and a half ago. Three co-founders. We all met in London while working for different companies, hyper
Oh wow.
growth startups at the time. So our journey started a bit before Y Combinator, where our idea was formed, and it came from our personal and professional experiences. And
Mm.
then as we shaped up the idea and we tested with the market, then we decided to actually apply to Y Combinator because we really believe that it would accelerate our journey. And it was one of the best decisions we've ever made. And I'm really happy to talk about that. But as a way of quick introduction, my background is in customer success. That's all I've done for most of my career. I've been an individual contributor at CSM. I've built and led customer success teams. So we've worked very closely with customer support leaders. I've closed and solved a lot of support tickets myself throughout the years. I've done renewals. I've touched a bit on the sales side of things as well. So the entire post-sales experience is what I really have spent my time on. And then my two co-founders, they were fixing and improving a lot of operational procedures in great companies like Revolut, Amazon,
Oh.
Meta. And we all came together and we kind of had that idea that we over time tested and we started building. And I would love to tell you all about it as we go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think your guys' talent is undeniable. It sounds like you've assembled a team of the Avengers over there in San Francisco. And
It
so
does feel like that. It's great.
I love it, man. But obviously, well, your company is not just an idea. I know, and I've heard stories of how hard and complicated it is to get accepted into Y Combinator specifically. So, what do you feel like was really the main thing that's your group and your team apart, maybe from some of the other applicants that didn't make it in? Would you say that it's your experience, or do you think maybe that there was more to the story?
I think it's a great question. It's a combination. It's definitely part of our profiles and experience, but also it's relentless and fast iteration.
Mm.
It's not always been rosy and smooth. Actually, we're rejected by YC twice
Oh,
before
okay.
so we got in the third time, and that came by us getting feedback from the partners, YC, testing with our customers, updating our worldviews as fast as we could, and
Mhm,
then reapplying and bringing the results that we had from every previous batch.
mhm.
And from my experience, what YC really wants to see during the application process, if they don't immediately hit yes and get you in, they want to see how quickly can you move and how quickly can you improve your mental models and apply those changes and show progress and demonstrate traction. And then essentially that becomes a vote of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you sharing some insights. I didn't realize there was a whole aspect of, if you're not accepted right away, they want to see how effective your team is really early on and how fast you guys are actually able to move. So it sounds like your co-founders are bringing their experience in operation and combining it with what you know about customer success in order for you guys to move as fast as you have kind of up to this point. And, one thing that really sticks out to me about what you guys are building is that it seems like you're really vertically integrated in the customer success. Like you're thinking about solutions holistically instead of providing a point solution. If I put myself in the shoes of a leader within customer success, I don't want 50 different tools to help me accomplish the one problem that I have. I want to be able to go to one platform and be able to solve that issue. So I know that you guys have done a lot of work in rolling out new features to solve real problems. Can you maybe speak to, some of the success stories that you've had from the companies that you've worked with? I know that you've worked with some big logos up to this point, and that was kind of early on, and you guys are continuing to grow kind of like month over month almost at this point. And so are there any successful case studies or use cases that you're at liberty to speak to?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of failures in all of that. Maybe I'll start with what got us to start building that iteration
Mhm,
that we have. One of the common traps and pitfalls, I think, is to try to solve everything all at once.
mhm,
And we definitely tried to do that in the beginning because we did have a very bold vision, which remains the same, but the execution is now different. And this is something that we really learned through YC.
mhm,
Solving a very specific, well defined, small problem to begin with is very important,
Mhm.
because especially in B2B and where the stakes are high and the friction is high, and sales or partnerships mainly form because of credibility and trust.
Yeah.
It needs to be a solution and a product that really is really well and well thought out. And we started from that niche of QA quality because we think it's the start of everything in terms of how customer experience is delivered to customers outside of product and engineering, of course. And they both overlap at some time. We can talk about this. But essentially, we said, let's solve one problem really well. Let's get 10 people to really love that. And that's what Brian Chesky, by the way, told us in one of the commencement speeches that we had at YFC.
All
Find
right.
10 people, find 100 people that really love your product. And then that can turn into 1,000 and that can keep on growing. So we're really focused on that. We want to make our first 10 users incredibly happy. And then that starts building the trust. And then after the trust is built, you can start, people open up and people bring you more problems because they say, okay, you solved that problem really well.
Yeah.
Now at this problem, can you help me with that problem? And then you kind of like expand, or we kind of expanded our scope gradually. And the more we started talking with our clients, the more we realized what the end-to-end flow looks like across every different organization, different verticals, and then identifying common patterns across verticals and across teams that
Mhm.
allow us to build a more complete solution, which we now think we have. We started with QA, we expanded to analytics, and we're still expanding and building. There is a lot to build, but now we offer standalone products that present a coherent whole, which is QA, analytics, training, coaching,
Oh,
all in
wow.
one. And then effectively, as you said, there is a team that started solving a very defined and small problem. And that starts expanding, and then more organizations tap into that. And then that also brings some coherence across different departments within our clients'
Mhm.
teams.
Yeah, 100%. And I hope that folks in the audience, that didn't go over their head what you just said about how important the time to value is in solving a specific problem kind of early on for, in the B2B space, like you said, trust and credibility is so important. And I think we were kind of in the same boat of trying to solve all of the problems all at once. And then you kind of increase that time to value, and it doesn't really allow you to build that trust that you need to with the companies that you want to work with in the long term. And so it sounds like you guys have really mastered the aspect of kind of landing and expanding with the businesses that you work with up to this point. And you mentioned that you guys are providing coaching, I mean simulations to help these customer success teams specifically. And I know you rolled out some new features the past couple of weeks. It's October, but I think at the end of September is when you guys have launched a lot of new things from the feedback that you've gotten from your customers specifically. And one of those things that I wanted to highlight was your auto QA, which is essentially, from what you told me, it's like a customizable AI scorecard. And it's almost like it helps customer success teams kind of increase the accuracy in the tickets and like the problems that they're looking to solve. Could you maybe expand on kind of what that looks like and some of the other new features as well that folks in the audience or even your customers might not know exist?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, what we're solving, the initial problem we started solving is automating quality assurance for customer support. And this is a very old problem. It's been there since forever, since there was telephony or ticketing or any online digital non-in-person interactions. And it probably resembles the quality checks that happen in a factory that produces materials, or that happens in engineering that produces code. It's the same thing in customer communications. And why auto QA? Why is that important? Because this is something that we're all doing throughout our day. Anybody who's interfacing with a client, we're always, and then we have a team that we manage potentially, or a volume that we manage. We always try to see, are the standards of our service up to par? Are we delivering to the standards of our organization? Before AI, or the existing version of AI, mainly LLMs, was a highly difficult aspect of the product to scale. Every person would have to go and manually check certain conversations, sample them, try to figure out what might have gone wrong. This takes up 30, 45 minutes for a single individual. And then that means that they can probably do maximum maybe 100 reviews, 100 tickets reviewed a week. And this is unscalable. You need an army of people.
Right.
Now, all of the people that you put on that do not directly answer customer queries, which is where your people should be talking to customers and helping customers and growing your business or resolving issues. So now with AI, it's really simplified in a sense. It's not that it's easy in a sense to build a system, but it's a lot simpler to achieve scale and to do whatever you were doing before. Let's say you had as an organization and quality framework, and you had some people who were checking very specific things, so you were getting the output, a limited output that you wanted.
Mhm.
Now you 10x, 20x, even achieve full coverage of having every single interaction reviewed, so nothing slips through the cracks, or having
Yeah.
a critically, a significantly a statistically significant sample reviewed,
Mhm.
and then you know what processes need to be improved, what people need to be coached, what parts of the business might be unclear, what part of the documentation might be incomplete. These all insights surface a lot faster, and that allows people to onboard faster, to improve faster, customers to get better experiences, issues to be resolved way quicker.
Yeah, 100%. And so it's almost like you guys have created a feedback loop for, customer success, quality assurance teams as to where they can really identify the root problems maybe that their customers are dealing with and actually work towards solving them instead of kind of working siloed. I think one thing that I haven't mentioned so far is that my first job actually in college was as a contracting quality assurance engineer for an e-commerce company working on a new website migration that I was doing out here in Arizona. And so, thinking back on it now, there was a lot of issues that we probably could have solved if we were actually seeing feedback from customers that were visiting the website specifically. And at that specific company, that's not exactly how things were run. And so I'm glad that you guys are kind of forward thinking and solving that problems for some of the teams that you're working with. But I know, you're in office right now in San Francisco and you run multiple different groups of teams, across different countries, and you guys actually were able to kind of come together today. So I wanted to take this podcast as an opportunity to highlight maybe some of the talent that's on your team. You guys are moving so fast. You guys are growing rapidly versus probably some of your competitors as well. What do you think, or I guess who on your team is really helping you drive that mission forward at Intrigue?
Yeah, we are 17 people right now. We got people in San Francisco, London, friends in Greece, Italy, India, Portugal. We didn't necessarily want to build a remote company, but we always prioritize talent over location. We're looking for really high agency, high accountability and ownership people, people that have fire in their eyes. And I know that this all might sound waffly, but I think when you talk to people who have a great sense of ambition
Mhm.
and they buy into some vision, whatever vision that is, in this instance, our vision, then it just clicks and these people can really take you forward. The team that we have right now is a highly dedicated, incredibly relentless team in terms of delivery. That has allowed us to move really fast. That
Yeah.
has allowed us basically to build a product that we consider and our customers tell us that is the best product in the market for what it does.
Oh,
And
wow.
we've done it over a year and a half. And we're nowhere near where we want to be, but we're competing with some companies that have been around for 10, 15 years. And they used to have some legacy, kind of like manual functionality that used to work great for the past decade maybe, and now they're trying to build on top all the AI workflows, and that is definitely doable, but it takes time. So having a
Yeah.
team like ours that can move so fast in this highly competitive landscape and being synchronized in the way that we move and being
Yeah.
aligned is really important. It's really hard to do that remotely if you don't hire for the right people. So I'm very grateful. I think we have a great team and I'm really proud of all of them, of how
Yeah.
they're executing.
100%. Yeah. And I could see how you guys are a little bit more agile and able to move faster maybe than some teams that are working with different types of legacy systems and kind of just trying to build on top of it. And it sounds like you guys have really been able to provide from your customers kind of, from that standpoint specifically. But I'm sure, like you said early on, it wasn't always the easiest to get adoption and for you guys to be kind of at the level that you're at now. Did you experience as a founder any type of hesitancy around, when you're speaking to customer success teams about implementing AI into their business before you're working with them and they see the clear value? Did you run into any kind of pushback maybe from your potential ICP, the folks you were looking to target?
Definitely, and we still get it many times, and I think it's totally justified because we're talking about human relationships. Anytime that somebody reaches out to a business, to customer support, probably something has gone wrong, and you probably want the highest matter of attention to be put onto that. And I know that there is a lot of AI solutions
Mhm.
in terms of automated customer support, but equally quality, which even though it's not interfacing directly with the customer, it is the safety net or the quality standard check of a business. So outsourcing that to a fully automated entity, you can understand how people would be very skeptical about it. Now, how we actually think about it and how we handle it is that we don't want to remove the human element. I think we can leverage AI to do a lot of great things. It can amplify human potential, but
Mhm.
it should not replace human judgment. So the way that we've built our system is that the human remains as the architect and they're involved in the workflows.
Love it.
Whatever an individual would do is now augmented by 10x.
Mm.
And then when we close the loop, we've released a lot of our recent features we released is how to close the loop because we opened the loop and then our customers had a ton of data, a ton of insights. Then we need to help them do something with that. We need to direct them. We need to help them filter the signal from the noise. The more data and the more insights you create, the more
Mhm.
noise you create as well. And I think the art of building a great piece of software to be helpful for people is to also close the loop and say, okay, we've given you visibility to so many things.
Yeah.
That's how you should action those. And these are the opportunities that you have to benefit from everything that you've uncovered.
Yeah, 100%. And so is that where maybe some of like the coaching and the strategic advisory that you guys provide to your clients comes into play to where they're actually able to leverage those real-time insights that you're providing them so that way they're not kind of reactive as most QA teams are and they're able to kind of be forward thinking in like some of the problems that their customers are dealing with?
100%. Yeah, we were doubling down on making our AI functionality and our workflow a lot more customizable. It has always
Sure.
been extremely customizable in terms of the prompts, in terms of the structure of it. However, now we're putting a lot more loops into ensuring that the AI gets feedback timely and then it improves and it self heals
Mhm.
certain aspects of it. And then how those insights flow into a structured coaching and a individual, like personalized individual coaching module
Mhm.
for every agent is a big part of it. And this is the second half of the product that we've released now, and we keep on improving really fast. And back to your initial point, that
Yeah.
came from a request of customers. They had that problem. We started solving the initial problem of quality control and
Yeah.
monitoring. And then we realized that there was a very long tail of manual, or maybe a big second half of manual work that was done to take all of those insights, those data points, massage them, slice and dice them differently, feed them to different teams, personalize them for each individual that was a recipient of that, whether that was an agent or a CX manager or a COO. And now we're kind of like adding this functionality to the platform that it just flows naturally from a customer interaction, a completed evaluation that has been personalized, to a coaching suggested session, to a compilation of insights for individuals and teams and organizations. And then whoever is responsible for that program, whether that is the head of QA or a CX manager or the head of CX, they have 3 clicks and they can see immediately how their organization is performing, how their teams are performing, individuals. And then there's a ton of layers as well for to accommodate for larger organizations or smaller organizations.
Yeah, I mean, that is super, super awesome. Again, I think it all ties back into the idea that you guys are building a holistic solution by solving kind of one problem at a time, keeping all of the key stakeholders involved throughout the process, whether they're in operations, they're in QA, or even if they're managing different parts of the teams. And then with AI in itself, too, something that's really sticks out to me when we're covering successful use cases. And you guys have all the case studies on your website, but every time I speak to a CEO or founder deploying AI into businesses or verticals like you guys are, usually when they're successful, they have domain expertise and somehow, some way, there's human in the loop. And the AI that they're building is actually meant to empower teams specifically. And so I think you guys have those two key components. And I'm excited to find out all of the stuff that you guys are working on kind of in the near future. You guys went through the Y Combinator program. You're solving all of the problems that we've talked about on the podcast, but I can tell in your voice and through your energy, you are not done yet. Like there's so much more that you guys are looking to tackle. Could we maybe dive into some of the new initiatives that you guys have as a company at Intryc? Like really, what other problems are you looking to solve? And like, is that specific feedback that you're getting from the customers that you're working with right now?
Yeah, definitely. And by the way, thank you for, looking through all of our case studies and what we have on the website. We have a lot more that is not there because
Mm,
we've been so busy building
yeah,
and making sure that our existing customers are successful. So now in the next couple of months, we have a very large campaign that is going to run across a lot of different channels. We're going to bring a lot more case studies out
nice.
because we've also have a lot more proof points and existing customers we've been working with for the past few months. We're going to share a lot more of our learnings. We always loved sharing with the world and telling people what we've learned
Yeah,
and showcasing that so that more people can learn what we have throughout that process. So this is one. Second is we're still a seed stage startup, so we think there is so much more to be done. Definitely not done yet. The reason we started from quality is because, in my opinion, this is the core of how things should be done, and the ambition is for Intryc to be the brain of intelligence for support operations. It's like this layer that the entire support organization plugs into to get intelligence about what works really well within the team, what works really well in the processes,
mhm,
what works really well in the product. And these are all insights that we easily gather from all of these conversations that we monitor. Starting monitoring conversations is just step one. Monitoring actions is step two. Ticket events, agent actions. Was the ticket escalated to the right person? Did the right macro get applied? That allows us to go into the next level, which is for anything that we evaluate, was that process accurately documented? Because sometimes one of the insights that we've realized as we're building this product and as we're trying to create the most accurate AI QA in the world was that a lot of it, and probably this is not news to anybody, but a lot of the AI accuracy, is dependent on the quality of the data input. And then we realized that a lot of the organizations that were embarking on that AI journey, whether that was an AI chatbot or AI, had a layer of knowledge that
Mhm,
was not fully documented, or
mhm,
there was a lot of common sense built into the processes because
mhm.
humans talk in common sense and organizations develop their own tissue of communication and common sense.
Yeah.
And that as well as an individual contributor, as a CSM and as CS leader, there was a way that things were done just because we knew that they're done in this way. That doesn't mean that everything was necessarily documented. So any new joiner that would come, they would have to learn the hard way. They would have to shadow calls. They would have to be told off. They would have to be told otherwise of how they thought things should be done. And it wasn't their fault. It was
Mhm,
just that they probably didn't have prior experience or exposure to that and they couldn't find anything to read about it. So now we're closing that gap as well, which is way beyond reviewing conversations. It's about, let's say that an agent had a failed score in a specific interaction. Was it actually the agent's fault, or was there a product gap, or was there a documentation gap, or was there a process gap? We're getting to the point that we pick all of that up
yeah.
and we've seen that there is huge value into that for organizations. And additionally, then whenever those insights surface, that also impacts how people get trained. You
Mm,
have something new who joined, let's say, yeah, a business, and you need to create a training module for them. Usually that would involve going and creating a lot of manual material, figuring out scenarios, role plays, scheduling time between managers, more experienced agents, getting those people in a room to do a few role plays. This is hours and hours, at least 15 to 20 hours of wasted time across your most experienced people and your new hires. Now, what we can do, and it's one of the products that we released, we have all of the past interactions. We know what great looks like, we know what not great looks like because
right.
we've evaluated that on the platform.
Yeah.
Then we use all of that data to create realistic scenarios that new hires or even improvers, let's say in team, can go and they can play with. It's kind of like a role play. They can be tested on it. The stakes are low because it's not a direct customer communication. It's kind of like a safe sandbox environment.
Oh, nice.
But also they get immediate feedback because it's the same quality framework that is used to score that sandbox interaction as the one that is used to score a real customer interaction. So the agent now doesn't have to wait. There's no more guesswork happening. People know where they stand. Let's say I joined this week. I did my studying. I went and I did a simulation, a role play. I did 10 of them.
Mhm,
My score is at 70%. I know that I'm missing a 30%. It comes from those specific areas. I go study more. I take another one. I don't need to wait for a scheduling manager. I don't need to wait for a learning and development manager to create new modules for me, to find me the right agent, to find me the right call or interaction to shadow. I can just do that immediately so that it all goes back to our initial point. How fast can we iterate as a business? I think this applies to everything. How fast can you iterate as a team? How fast can you iterate as an individual? You have a new hire and you have an onboarding plan of 2 to 3 months. How can that be reduced to 2 to 3 weeks? And
yeah.
now it's possible, and that is a massive net gain for every team and every organization. These are the next 3 to 4 months that we're looking into the products that we're releasing and the adoption that we're looking to get on.
100%. And I appreciate you sharing that. It sounds like through the optimization of processes within customer success teams, making sure that they have quality data is just going to lead to better outcomes and for onboarding and even other agents to be able to train up to par. And so that way they know kind of what they're looking at and exactly what needs to be optimized to really overall just drive better results. And one thing that I really wanted to highlight is, you guys aren't just working with, small teams. You guys are also working with larger enterprises for the solutions that you're providing. I know you've worked with companies like Deal and Blue Grand as well, but are there any, specific, I guess, use cases that have come up recently that maybe aren't on the website just yet and folks aren't aware of that we can really cover on the podcast to drive home the impact that you guys are making?
Definitely. If we start from a higher level view, any kind of consumer app or any application service that has a lot of customer interactions can benefit from that. And they typically have something in place. Historically, it's been manual and it's been on a legacy tool, maybe. And then if we be more specific about verticals, any financial services, fintech, travel, hospitality, healthcare, potentially. And then anything that involves a call center setup, these are the main areas that usually benefit from such a software or process.
Yeah, 100%. And, with all the problems that you guys are looking to solve too, I know that and you mentioned it as well, the road isn't always as easy. And so now that you guys have gone through Y Combinator, are you looking to raise any more capital, I guess, to solve any of these issues specifically? Or I guess, another question I always like to ask, if you can kind of pick which one you'd like to answer, but let's just say you could wave a magic wand and there's a big domino right now in the business that's maybe getting in the way of your guys' goals. Do you know what that one thing would be and like a plan of action really to solve it?
I love the Magic One question. Yeah, we do have a very clear view of that. I think the way to build business has completely changed over the past 2 to 3 years. It's now all about distribution, I believe. I think having a stellar product is table stakes. This is a given now. It wasn't always the case. And there are a lot of great companies out there building a lot of great products. I think finding the right people at the right time with the right message is key. And this is where we're also investing a lot right now because we've built a stellar team in terms of building product and engineering. So we've kind of solved that problem in my eyes. It's always ongoing and we always need to make sure that we're great and we have a great product, but we've set the foundations. We've been doing founding led sales now. It's been myself and I have a great founding sales development representative here in the US, but it's been the two of us. So we kind of like rise up to our own limits. And then of course we use AI and all of that. But now we're investing a lot more. We've hired some key roles in our go market and sales team. We've brought people with great experience
Mhm.
that have done that in the past. And this is where most of our focus is going into. In terms of your asking or your question about fundraising, it's not in the plans right now. It's definitely in for 2026 and it's going to go towards scaling faster.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that I'll be following along with everything that you guys are doing at Intryc. I think it's so interesting to see some of the solutions that you're looking to solve. It sounds like you put a really talented team together. So I know that, in the next 6 to 12 months, you guys are just going to continue to scale. But for any folks in the audience that want to follow along with everything that you guys are doing outside of the website, would you say that LinkedIn is the best social media platform for folks to go and connect?
Absolutely. Yeah. We utilize LinkedIn mainly right now. We will be spinning up more channels in the
Mhm.
future, maybe a bit more of YouTube, maybe a bit more X. But we found that our audience is definitely more on LinkedIn
Yeah.
and specifically within communities. So we're also putting a lot of effort and a lot of our time and my personal time
Mhm.
into getting closer to all of the communities that we work with, flying out to see people, meeting them in conferences. My philosophy is always to meet your people where they are and your customers and I think part of the equation is figuring out what that is,
Yeah.
and then we're focusing a lot on that as well.
100%. No, I think that, you've shared a lot of amazing insights, not only into what you guys are working on, but really just in like the overall state of how folks can succeed in the AI space, kind of going into the next couple of years here. And so, as we kind of wrap up the podcast, Alex, is there maybe one thing that you want to leave the audience with in the way that they think about Intrigue, whether that's your customers or even your team? Like, do you have one core message that you'd like to share on this podcast?
I wasn't prepared for that, but I think it's a great question. I'll tell you where it comes to my mind. Number one, I think it's all about how we make people feel. And that goes back to, there's a lot of great products and there's
Mhm.
a lot, great outcomes that we can drive. But when we connect with our customers and with our colleagues and our partners, this is when I think most of the opportunities and building a company that focuses on quality, it is really embedded in our culture to make sure that we offer that quality of service and support to all of our customers and the people that we work with. And I would probably say that to every founder, and we all make mistakes generally,
Mhm.
but I think putting a lot of focus on making sure that the people you speak with feel the way you want them to feel will probably take you a long way because we've benefited a lot from that. We've met great people along the way. We've tried our best
Mhm.
to show up and give value up front before asking something and that has always paid back. So I think that's one message is add value, show up, make sure that you're not wasting people's time and that will be paid back to you. um I don't know, by karma or universe or generally.
100%. 100%. Yeah, no, that's I feel like that's one of the key universal laws when it comes to business overall, and so I think it's a refresher for a lot of people to hear that coming from you with the context of how much you guys have been able to succeed so far up to this point. And so, as I mentioned, I'll make sure to include links in the description of this video to your guys' LinkedIn, and to your website as well. But are there any other communities that you guys have created or any types of groups online that we can add into the description of the video? Or would you say that like the website and LinkedIn will probably be the best?
The website and LinkedIn for now. We've got a lot of irons in the fire, so watch the space. Make sure that we reach out to our people and we introduce more things as we go along.
Yeah, absolutely, Alex. But no, I just wanted to tell you, thank you so much again for coming on our podcast. I think a main mission for us is we want to attach our brands to the companies that are making a real impact with the AI that they're deploying. And at the end of the day, they're solving a real problem that improves people, the way that people feel and the way that people do business. And so I feel like we were able to accomplish that here on this podcast specifically. And so, I can't tell you how much I appreciate the insights you've shared today and really just for your time as well.
You too. Thank you for having me and thank you for all the research and making this super enjoyable conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. And for any of the folks in the audience, if you have more questions for Alex, because as you can see, he's got thought leadership on a multitude of different topics. Feel free to comment on this video if you see it on YouTube, or comment if you see it on LinkedIn. And Alex, we'd love to bring you back maybe in the next couple of months to follow along with all the awesome stuff that you guys are going to be accomplishing over there at Intryc.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. But there you guys have it. Like I said, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.